Over the last 75 years, over 10,000 chemicals have been introduced to our food supply. Yet the EU only allows 300 food additives. But at Thrive Market, we bring our members the highest quality brands and restrict more than 1,000 ingredients found at conventional grocery stores, making the switches easy with our Healthy Swaps scanner, which finds better versions of all your favorite pantry, snacking, and home essentials without the added junk, dyes, and fillers. Plus, it's all delivered straight to your door. So if you're looking to shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health, go to thrivemarket.com/podcast and you'll get 30% off your first order and a free gift.
And hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. This episode is being streamed live. So if you are watching this in real time, please interact with us. This is an interactive episode. I'm switching things up for 2022. Is that the other we're in? 2022. So I'm switching it up this year. So this is an interactive episode. So if you happen to be watching this in real time, any questions, comments, cheers, boos, whatever it is, please leave it in the chat. This is a new year, new era. Let's do it. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's start the show. Yeah, so welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. I am very much looking forward to this episode. So we've been at the game for a while, but in case you're brand new to the game, this is a web series where we like to talk real talk about things in our purview. So we like to take a single topic and we like to do a deep dive into it using a question and answer format. So we like to talk about topics regarding mental health, physical health, education, employment, finance, all that stuff, the things that we think about in the back of our minds, but we don't really put a lot of thought into it. This is it. This is the show. This is the real talk where we're going to take all those things in the back of our minds and we're going to bring it to the forefront. So as we are a Step Ahead Tutoring Services, it is our job to educate you. And this is all about, one way or another, it is all about education. And we are here to educate you, and you are here to learn. All right, so let's get into the topic for the show. Our topic for the show is a child of divorce. So I am very much looking forward to this topic. I feel like divorce is one of those things that people don't really talk about. It's, I don't know if I want to say taboo, but it might be taboo. It might be shunned. It might make people uncomfortable. So divorce is one of those things, you don't really hear about unless someone is complaining about their ex-spouse. But this particular topic I want to get into because I always want to know what is it like to be a child of divorce? What is it like to have divorced parents? What is it like to, your whole world is kind of framed around two parents and all of a sudden you're watching your parents split up, and what's it like being that child? I want to get into that mindset of the child kind of watching their world be ripped apart, and now they have to manage this newfound path that they're in. So I'm very much looking forward to having this discussion. I told you, this is Hot Topics. This is real talk. We're going to do this. All right. So I have a brave soul with me who's going to help me with this discussion. His name is Michael Overlie, and I want to tell you about him. So let's do this. Who is Michael Overlie? Let me tell you who he is. So Michael Overlie is a lifelong dog fanatic. He has had a gift of connecting with animals since he was a small child. Dogs have been with him most of his life, giving him gifts and teaching him lessons. His greatest breakthrough was after the death of his brother. While grieving this loss, he was fully awakened to his own potential and the gifts our animals bring to our lives. Now he helps other men awaken to the gifts available to them from their dogs. He has dedicated himself to assisting men and their dogs discover their path to living a life of purpose, being extraordinary. Remembering, this is Michael's purpose, his mission on this earth. From helping save lives in a trauma center to doing energy healing work with people and animals, Michael's love for life shines through. He has trained in multiple energy healing modalities and infuses spiritual energy into everything he teaches, providing a safe space for healing and growth to occur. He knows what your dog is trying to show you, teach you. Come join them on a powerful expedition of finding you and remembering who you are. So I'm going to bring Michael to the stage right now. Hi, Michael. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm great, Gabrielle. Thank you so much for having me on.
Not a problem. Thank you for having this discussion with me.
Oh, it's not an easy one, but yeah, absolutely. Let's go help some folks.
Yeah, let's do this. All right. So you have an interesting story to tell about being a child of divorce, and I wanted to have this discussion with you. You have an interesting experience, and I wanted to talk about your story a little bit and dive into it. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to pass the baton over to you, and I'm going to let you tell your story.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So my parents split when I was 11, 12 years old, but the story begins before that. Um, in our household, we didn't discuss things. We didn't express things. My older brother was sick from the time I was young and had multiple surgeries, learning disabilities, all kinds of things. So my experience back then was of not receiving as much attention as he did because, well, he needed it, right? He had all sorts of things to deal with. So I grew up with this increasing sense of feeling like I wasn't enough or like I didn't matter. It carried on and showed up in many ways. So by the time my parents split, I I was kind of a mess. Kind of a mess. I hid it pretty well though. Um, but when my dad left, it was a surprise. You know, my mom called us downstairs one day, said, "Your your brother, or I'm sorry, your father has something to tell you." And we were like, "Oh, okay, what's going on?" So we go down, and there's a couple suitcases sitting there. And he used to travel for work sometimes, so I figured he was just going on, heading to a conference or whatever. And he couldn't even look us in the eye. So she went ahead and said, "Your father's leaving us." Basically, kicked him out, slammed the door, and we're left there just in dismay and scared. And my older brother and I were crying. It was just like, what the hell just happened? Somehow, after this event, I thought that something I had done pushed him away, and that some of this was my fault, or maybe most of it was my fault. Um, I was the younger brother who acted out. My older brother was calm and quiet and sweet, and that definitely I was not the quiet one. Um, so I felt that somehow this was my fault, and that I somehow caused this. Kid brain can't understand all these things and take it in. And I actually thought I'd be better off and that everybody else would be better off if I wasn't here any longer. So I had this suicidal ideation. I never acted upon it, but I had this in there, and it would come up and come up and come up. Well, we had this amazing dog. His name was Sage, and he could read me like nobody's business. He became my dog very early on. Got him from, I think, when I was around 5 years old. And by this time, he clung to me. I would go sit outside and just, and he would just come and lean in against me and just hold that space for me. I would take naps with him and walk with him and talk with him. With him, I could share. I didn't know how to share with anybody else. So I was um, never taught that I could, and in some instances told that I shouldn't. So this amazing dog just accepted me right off the bat, accepted me no matter what was going on, even if I was acting like a weenie, if I was grumpy, whatever. If I was sad, he would be there. If I was happy, he wanted to participate in that too. So I just received all these amazing things from him that I didn't realize at the time.
Over the last 75 years, over 10,000 chemicals have been introduced to our food supply. Yet the EU only allows 300 food additives. But at Thrive Market, we bring our members the highest quality brands and restrict more than 1,000 ingredients found at conventional grocery stores, making the switch as easy with our Healthy Swaps scanner, which finds better versions of all your favorite pantry, snacking, and home essentials without the added junk, dyes, and fillers. Plus, it's all delivered straight to your door. So if you're looking to shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health, go to thrivemarket.com/podcast and you'll get 30% off your first order and a free gift.
I really, really didn't get it. I received it, but I didn't have an understanding or a concept of what was actually happening. So, move on years later, Sage has passed on, and a lot of my insecurities and inabilities to share, discuss, express just moved right along with me in and out of multiple relationships that didn't end on my terms. So until my marriage. And I ended up in that marriage for 14 years. And one day I woke up and I just went, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? This is not for me. This is not for me. And that's one of the greatest things that I was able to come to. And I had these two amazing dogs at that time. And one of them was kind of an escape artist. And what I got from him was it was time to leave. You need to get out. And he had this habit of escaping the yard, whether it was our house or somebody else's house. He would do these amazing things. And after I moved out, he stopped trying to get out of the yard. I was like, oh wow, that's freaking fantastic. So move on years later, my older brother dies. Now, I hadn't dealt with all my anger. I haven't dealt with all my insecurity, my feelings of unworthiness, low self-esteem. That stuff was still in there. And I'd become pretty angry to this point and was quick to pop my top. And but I didn't realize how much I was showing up that way in the world. So when my brother died, it just cracked me open, tore me wide open, crying, writhing around in pain. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, people, if anybody would have seen me or heard me, they probably would have sent me to a psych ward. I was releasing so much stuff. And at one point, I realized I don't like who I am. I want to change this. I want to do something about this. And this amazing dog that I had at the time, I watched him go and heal other people during this really sad time. It was fantastic. I was like, what? I couldn't even grasp it. One situation, my mom was down right after my brother passed, and we were both really sad, melancholy, crying. We were sitting on the couch, and I couldn't even talk to her. And my dog goes over, super slow, crawls up on the couch, leans into my mom and just puts his head under her chin. She needed a hug, right? But I was too in my own space to understand that she just needed a hug. So he went and gave her a hug, and then he sat there, and I felt this amazing energy pour off of him. It was the most amazing thing ever. And that was like this catalyst for change in my life. He was the largest catalyst for change in my life. My brother opened the door, and then this dog took it from there. I started getting into different energy healing modalities, and I started with healing touch for animals. Blew my socks off. Look it up. The woman who runs it is fantastic. Um, and I just kept noticing a little more and noticing a little more and opening a little more and realizing, oh, yeah, we need to work on that. And I'm still doing this. Um, Gabrielle had asked me about my father in a previous conversation, and I attempted to describe him. And I don't have a relationship with him any longer. Um, and when she asked me to describe him, and I told her what I said, she said, "Are you still angry? You sound angry." And that was a hot button for me. I didn't realize that I was still carrying even more anger. I thought I had worked through all this stuff. It was fantastic. So uh, it's amazing, folks. It's absolutely amazing. It doesn't matter if you've been in an abusive situation or a neglectful situation, an abandonment situation. Everybody's got something. Everybody's got something in there that we hide, we bury, we're ashamed about. We need to bring that up. We need to bring that forward somehow. And it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's worth it. It's absolutely beautiful. The gifts from that are amazing. And what I'm able to do now is I work with men who are tough to crack, right? We don't want to ask for help. We don't ask for directions, obviously. All these things, we can't show any signs of weakness. We think being vulnerable at all is a sign of weakness. It's not. All these things that I've learned, the situations, my own personal experiences, getting in trouble with the law, a drinking problem, divorce, um, some not so happy times, but I can see them now as lessons. There are lessons in everything that happens, everything that occurs. We usually just can't see what that is. So for the longest time, I had this identity of being, this child from a broken home, and it was a relationship that fell apart, right? So it was the relationship between my parents that fell apart, the relationship between my father and I, my brother and my father, all of that. There were relationships. They fell apart. There was no malicious intent. But when you're a kid, you can't understand these things. So if you're a parent listening to this, I would recommend not hiding everything from your child. You're probably not saving him from a whole lot. My brother and I never knew my folks even argued, let alone fought. They hid all that from us. And then one day, hey, guess what? Your dad's gone. Yeah, so much can be healed. So much can be healed. And another thing we don't understand is we're bringing our own stuff forward from our experience, and we may pass that on to our kids. So no blaming and no shaming in that, but be more aware. If give yourself a little more awareness on what you're bringing into the world with your speech, with your body language, how you treat other people. This is huge. Right? We get caught up on our own moments. We have trouble tempering that or even realizing where we're at. So be patient, be gentle. And if you got a dog, spend time with your dog. They're masters. They are masters of Zen. They create peace and they spread happiness and joy, and they teach you how to relax and just be in a moment. When's the last time you gave yourself time? You could just relax and just be quiet and just notice. You don't have to be doing anything. We're human beings, not human doings, right? But we act the other way. How can we do this? How can we create a space for ourselves, create that safe space that we love getting from our animals or from a loved one who gives us, this love, sometimes unconditional love, like an animal can give. Why is it that we can't give that to ourselves? Well, we don't give ourselves the time to investigate why we're not happy, why we're sad, why we may be depressed. How can you create some space for yourself? I get up at 3:30 every morning. I don't have to, but I do it because I create this space and I dedicate time to my own healing and my work, my personal work. And then I can go do my other work where I can can I work on helping these other guys. It's fantastic, but I have to dedicate this time to myself. If I don't start my day that way, I feel off. I'm not ready to tackle what comes. But if I've given myself that time, that space, that love first, it is amazing. It's amazing. We frequently put other people ahead of ourselves. And as a parent, you know this so, so well, right? You've got kids, their needs need to be met. Maybe a spouse, maybe you're working also, and you've got friends and neighbors and all these things that are taking time and energy from you. But if you don't pay yourself first, your tank's going to get empty. You're going to have a hard time. You're going to say things and do things you may not want to, that you regret later. So how do you stop that now? You can start, make a tiny little shift, a little 1 degree shift in how you show up. You try one thing a little differently. Large, gigantic, sweeping changes don't last. Think of New Year's resolutions. They don't work. Tiny little shift. Do that. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable in that for a little bit, and that creates its own power. And you can make another little tiny shift. Be in that. Maybe you screw up and you have to move back one. That's okay. Nobody goes straight forward all the time. There are no straight lines in life. Everything's a zigzag. Sometimes you double back, circle, drop. But we don't think that that's okay. We're not allowed to express ourselves in a way that is just truly ourselves because we have all these different identities, all these expectations that are put on us. Mother, father, teacher, preacher, your boss, whatever. There are all these different ways in the world that we're expected to be. And when we're given that at a young age, that is a way of telling us, or we take it in this way, that we're not good enough. Oh, I have to do what he says because he knows better. Oh, I have to do what she says because she knows better. I obviously don't know better. So you know what I mean? So this just builds up over time. Some people deal with it better. I didn't deal with it very well at all. So I allowed everybody else's opinion and ideas and identities of who they thought I should be direct my life. Yeah, didn't work out so well. Did not work out so well. So now I'm trying and I'm working on it and I'm trying to heal myself and I'm trying to help others learn how to do the same for themselves. And I continue to spend time with these amazing animals. And I love working with guys and their dogs. There's nothing like it on this planet. Nothing. All right. Anybody out there got a question for now?
Thank you. Thank you for that amazing story. So I have a question.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you, I guess it sounds like you had a number of dogs, 3 dogs, 4 dogs. So you look to them for healing. It sounds like, because a number of things happened to you. So you have your parents splitting up, and then your brother dying, and all your personal divorce, and a number of things happened one after the other. And you had these dogs that soothed you and spoke to you, and so it sounds like the dogs that you had brought you a sense of peace, and it gave you that emotional connection you were looking for. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think initially I wanted, you already said the word soothing. I wanted comfort. I wanted to be comfortable. I didn't want to hurt. And I was able to receive from these dogs this immediate acceptance. Like they didn't care how I wore my hair, what my shoes looked like, or if I was wearing jeans or shorts. None of that matters. They just wanted to be there and show up regardless of what was going on with me, they were able to be there and hold that space for me. And that's something that we don't learn how to do so well for other people. You know, we want to give advice. We want to, oh, here, try this. You should try this, or you should go here. You should call this guy. It's tougher for us to just be quiet and sit in that space. Maybe hold somebody when they're crying. There's a special forces guy I work with. I held him while he just bawled his eyes out. He could never let his men see him like this. He can't let his family see him like this. He doesn't share these things with anybody. But I hold this safe space for him, and he can actually open up. It's amazing.
So you bring up an interesting factor in about men and expressing emotions and being open. So was that a challenge? Well, it sounded like that was a challenge for you growing up as well. Is that also fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I wasn't able to, I didn't know how. Even if I knew how to express how I was feeling, I couldn't describe it. Um, and it was definitely not encouraged, let's say, in our household. And not that there's any malicious intent by my parents, but that's how they were raised, you know?
So the first dog you had, you had him when he was 5. So you had him before your parents split. So how is the relationship with your dog before the split?
So, maybe I misspoke. We got him when I was about 5 years old as a puppy. So we got him when he was very small. And we were, fun and close, and you could tell he was my dog. Um, but that bond, I think, deepened greatly um, when he could tell I was really in distress, and he became even more present for me.
Right. So sorry, how old were you when you got your first dog?
About 5.
Okay. So but then your parents split at 11. So
Hmm.
what I'm trying to say, between 5 and 11, you had this dog.
Hmm.
So did you have that same bonding with your dog before the split as you did after the split?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't as deep. It wasn't as profound at all. He was fun and energetic and playful and those kinds of things. When the split happened, he turned into a guardian for me.
A guardian, how? Can you tell more about that?
He stayed real close to me. Helped me feel safe, like safe as in protected, and I could just, if I needed to cry, I could cry with him, and I didn't feel ashamed. And he watched over me, and he ended up sleeping with me. He was sleeping in my bed at that point.
So your dog was, because I'm hearing you say you felt safe. He was your guardian. He was a sense of comfort. So these are things that you weren't feeling around the time of the split.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I was not. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel. In some ways, I didn't feel loved. Definitely didn't feel secure. Um, I didn't think I was even worthy of love at that point. So when this amazing animal kept showing up for me, I latched onto that pretty hard.
So I'm wondering if you bonded more with animals than you did people.
Yeah, that's pretty fair to say.
So did you feel that it's easier to connect with animals as you did with people? Maybe, they didn't, um, animals kind of instinctively love us, as opposed to people, they leave, they fight, they Um, there's a lot more emotional complications when it comes to
Mhm.
humans. So I'm wondering if it was easier to bond with your dog because um, the lack of human flaws.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I loved the birds and the squirrels. I used to go rescue a kitten from across the alley. I'd sneak into their back porch and steal a kitten and bring it home. When I was a little guy, I loved the animals. There was, yeah, as you said, it was different. There was no effort in trying to establish or work on a relationship. Um, there were no rules. You showed up, and if you enjoyed spending time with each other, you did. It was fantastic.
So, hmm. So, what about your personal divorce? It sounded like you had two dogs.
Mhm.
So, what did you feel a lack of safety, a lack of comfort in your in your own marriage?
Absolutely. Um, it's interesting. The woman that I married, she's smart and talented and hardworking. She was just amazing in those areas, but she was, insecure in her own ways and needed constant attention, reassurance. Um, and there were financial stuff around that, a lot of financial issues wrapped up in all of that. I was unable to say no when I would have benefited us. I was unable to stand up for myself. Um, the times that I tried, conversations didn't go well. Um, and then, yeah, it was fascinating. I didn't feel safe and secure there either. I had this need to feel needed. I wanted someone to want me or need me in their life. So that desire to please was very strong. And yeah, and then one day I realized that I was no longer taking care of myself, and everything I had was going towards this other person, and it was completely harmful to myself.
So, when you felt that way in your own marriage,
Mm.
the dogs to the side, did you reach out to your parents? I'm not sure if your brother was alive during this time. Did you reach out to your brother, your friends, a teacher? I want to see if you had any other kind of human. Did you reach out to other people before
Gotcha.
you put it to the dogs?
Um, I did. I did. I had a neighbor who I'm actually still now really good friends with, and he and I could actually talk and share because we were both kind of tough guys, so we couldn't express with other folks. I even sought professional help, and I thought maybe if I was able to talk to somebody and work some things out, um, it might help me, gain perspective or whatever it is. And at that time, all they wanted to do is put me on medication. You're depressed. You need to go on a pill. So that didn't really help, and that really turned me off of mental health professionals for some time. And I realized it was just that one person and that one hospital's policy, but that really didn't help. But luckily, I had the foresight enough to like, okay, I'm okay. Um, maybe I can do this. I can try that. And then I started spending more and more time with my dogs. I would take them to a lake and fetch in the water and spending time with them and thinking, okay, I'm okay. I'm safe. I feel okay here.
And do you have a dog now?
I do. I do. Her name is Indigo. She's a Belgian Shepherd.
And when did you get this one?
Just in October.
Oh, it's a newbie. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we could if bring it back to your parents a little bit. So how are things how are things now with your mom and your dad?
Um, with my mom, good. She is She's fantastic. Um, she's willing to talk about things even when they're really, really uncomfortable. And she's able to share things with me, even though it might be really, really uncomfortable. So we've just had this amazing healing of our relationship. And there was long periods of time when I was younger that we didn't talk. Um, so when I moved to Fort Collins from Longmont, this is in Colorado, north of Denver, um, I had moved to Fort Collins and had her move up here with me. We ended up moving in together. And it's been hard, right? And all these things from all these years came up, and we've been able to work on them, and it's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. So I feel very fortunate in that regard. Relationship with my father, yeah, not so good. So I had walked away from the relationship before, and then he popped back up on the radar one day and called me and says he was actually moving into the area, and I was like, okay, try it again. I'm willing. I'm more mature. I got better skills now. Let's try this. And same kind of result. Yeah, I felt like I didn't matter again and still with him. And so I've basically cut that one off.
So again, you felt the same emotions that you felt when you were a child, a lack of
Hmm.
safety, a lack of comfort, a lack of love.
Yeah, lack of love, lack of acceptance, lack of understanding. Yeah.
But you got those things from your mom.
Yes, from that relationship. So I haven't reached a point where I'm completely self-loving and my self-esteem is unshakable. Um, there was something about that relationship with my dad. I've been chasing that my whole life. So the thought that, okay, maybe this is the chance, maybe this is the time, got right back in there. And so I created an expectation, kind of how I look at it, that was not realistic. And yeah, and I got let down and hurt again.
And is this where the dogs came in?
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, the dogs are awesome. Although when this happened, it was just before I got Indigo. Darby, who was the big catalyst for change, passed away in May. So I was without a dog for several months, and but I wanted to grieve that. I wanted to feel that. I didn't want to feel like I was replacing him. You can't replace a relationship. Um, so I wanted to go through all that, and I wanted to feel all of that, and remember everything he taught me. And that actually spurred me to finish my book. Um, so yeah, no accident there. But Indigo came, and she's teaching me a whole other set of lessons.
Like what? Can you give an example?
Oh yeah, patience, big time. I'm of a school where if you wanted something to happen, you go and make it happen. Just you go and you head down and you bust through walls and you just work, 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 work. Um, she is super smart, super energetic, and she's got, I'm guessing, some kind of police dog lineage, and uh, she's amazing. She's an amazing physical specimen, the stuff that she can do. She's also very strong-willed, and I don't know her full history. And I know she's been bounced around from different shelters and foster care and everything else. So working with her to create more of a symbiotic relationship in the house. And then when we go outside and are around other animals, I've had to be really patient and realize that I wasn't being respectful of her. I was like, no, I'm the human and you're the dog and we will do it this way. And um, yeah, she's taught me a lot already. It's amazing.
So you were trying to be like I guess, the dominant owner, and your dog was not having it.
Yeah. Yeah. So my my last four dogs, Indigo is the fourth, were all from a rescue situation, and I worked with them, worked hard, and trained, and did this and that. And, I came into this relationship with her thinking, okay, I got this. I've done this a bunch of times. I know exactly what to do, and it wasn't working. And then I get frustrated. And yeah, one day I got from her when I was out on a walk with her. She's like, "You're not listening to me." It's like, oh, okay.
And what did you take from that interaction?
I had to dig into that a little bit. I'm like, okay, what are my expectations, and why am I expecting that right now? So I'm like, okay, I don't know, who she is, where she came from, in a longer term sense, and what does she actually need right now? That's what I wasn't asking. What did she need, not what did I want? Um, and so that I realized that I would get fired up, my energy was off, and she would feel that and get weird and skittish, and um, yeah, it has been interesting already.
So it sounds like your dogs were kind of filling these emotional holes that you had. So we were talking about the lack of safety, the lack of
Mhm.
comfort, the lack of love, attention, and particularly being rescue dogs, it sounded like they challenged you. And so you have to react and you have to react to situations that are out of your control. So
Mhm.
it sounds like all of these, um, the emotional needs that you felt you didn't get, you were getting from your dogs, but also you were learning how to deal with challenges, how to deal with the unexpected, how to deal with
Mhm.
different personalities, how to grieve, because eventually, your dogs died. So, how do you deal with that? And having four different dogs, well, the first three, I assume, died. Um, so you had to, so these dogs not only gave you the emotional support that you needed, they also taught you how to deal with life.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, exactly. I think you just wrote my book. So no, that's spot on. Um, I was able to get from them things that I wasn't getting from other people. Um, it was just a different type of relationship, and I was open to that where I may not have been open to um, picking up on things and social cues, whatever, from people around me.
Of course, of course. All right. So time is fast spent. We got to wind things down now.
Okay.
So, do you have any final words of advice that you want to give to our viewers? Any words of wisdom that you
Hmm.
would like to leave, to impart, to share your legacy?
Yeah, you guys be gentle with yourselves. Things are really, really strange right now, and I don't know if we'll ever have a normal again. Um, and things are going to continue to change. So just understand that, roll with it, and be gentle with yourselves and the people around you as you go through it. People are having a hard time right now. So be a little kinder. Open a door for somebody. Buy someone a cup of coffee that you'd never met before. Just little things. Make yourself happy, be gentle, feel good.
Awesome. And any advice in regards to children, to children with divorced parents, or maybe how do parents talk to their children about divorce?
Mm.
Can you touch on that in terms of any words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Yeah, and I barely touched on it before. When we hide things from the kids to save them from the pain or whatever, we're not really preparing them for these things that are coming up later in life. Um, they may not understand it, but if you're honest with them and say, "Hey, look, mom and dad can't do this anymore. Or, dad's moving out, and we can't get along." That there's going to be a lot of why, but there's not. You don't have that shock factor. Um, so yeah, talk to your kids. Tell them how to express themselves. Say, when you're angry, instead of throwing something, tell me that you're angry. Just little things like that. I didn't learn that, and I think those things would have been really beneficial.
Thank you so much for those words of wisdom. And let me put up your banner. Yeah, so you can follow Michael Overlie. He's on a variety of social media platforms. You can follow him on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on Facebook. You can also check out his website, which is www.dogsandmen.com. So if you are looking for those services, can you briefly discuss your business a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. So, simplest way to put it is I'm a life coach, but I'm a life coach in a different way. I utilize people's dogs to help them have a breakthrough so that they can move forward instead of feeling stuck and angry and insecure and broken. So I help these guys find a different way forward that most people can't figure out for them.
Awesome. So if you're looking for that type of life coach, definitely reach out to him. His contact information is scrolling below. And I want to make sure we get this before we close. You have a book that you want to promote. Can you tell us about your book?
Snuck it in there. Can everyone see that right there? Sneaky. So let your dog lead. So it's a short book, but it's kind of an invitation to be a different way, and some steps that you can take through doing some work. You can't just flip through this thing and go, all right, we're good. It's an invitation for guys to live a different way. And I've had women read it too and just go, wow, that's really amazing. And spend time trying to remember who you actually are, not all of these other things, the thousand veils that have been put in front of your identity of who you really are. That's what this book invites you to do.
And where can people get your book?
Oh, yes. It's on Amazon, and there's a Kindle and a paperback version. It's on Barnes & Noble, also available through Ingram. So if you like your indie bookstore, you can order it through them as well.
Fabulous. So definitely go get that book, you guys. Okay, Michael, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a privilege to have you here on my show.
Thank you, Gabrielle. I love the work you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to place you backstage. And it's just you and me, guys. So let me put up my banner. Fabulous. So we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. As a reminder, we are A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So please check out our social media for more videos and clips. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow. Definitely follow and definitely share. So whether you're watching this on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, wherever you are, definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and give us share. Definitely share this message. And let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section below. And if you would like to learn more about A Step Ahead Tutoring Services, you can check out all of our social media, and you can also visit us online. Our website is www.astepahead. I think something's on my face. stepaheadtutoringservices.com. So definitely check us out if you want to know about our services, our workshops, or anything else that we have to offer. And I'm going to share this last message before I run away.
Hey there, have you heard of us? We're a small team of tutors here at A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We believe that education and information should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income, race, or creed. We're dedicated to making this happen, but we need your help. Please consider making a donation to our company. No amount is too small. Your donation will allow us tutors to remain employed, offer free and low-cost services, put on productions like this web series, and reach out to families nationwide. With your help, we can tackle the academic challenges of our students and the emotional, mental, and behavioral changes that result from these challenges. As a bonus, we can improve our communities in the process. Support us today. Note: we're a for-profit company. We're not a charity. Your donation may not be tax deductible. Please consult a tax professional.
Yes, and yes. So thank you again for joining us for this episode. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Thank you for joining us. And now, signing off.